back, everybody, to another episode of Gas is on the Right. No, he's got a chance to win the race.
I think that might have been like one of the cleanest hits I've ever seen in a NASCAR fight.
Side Rick. Yeah, the back. Oh! Into the wall hard goes Ryan Blaney.
And he finally came to a stop. And it was just dead silent.
I said this last week, and I'm going to keep reiterating it. Live with the decisions you make. Drive by the decisions you make. Don't change up your style, but also just don't be dumb. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Gas is on the Right podcast. We are back in 2024 with some format changes, some package changes to our deal. So, guys, welcome back. We have Daniel, as always, and we have now Emily as a co-host on the show as well. So, welcome, everybody. How was your guys' off season?
Too short. Well, too short and too long at the same time. That's what she said.
I
Too
feel
long.
that.
Too long.
Yeah, we're ready for some racing. We are ready for some racing for sure. We got Sunday will be the Clash at the Coliseum. Saturday, you got the Mexico Series. We'll touch on in a little while, but yeah, we got some racing coming up. So real quick, we'll touch on a quick note, everybody. So anybody listening to the show following this release on the 31st, we will then be live streaming every Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. the podcast as we record it. So feel free to join. We will have a chat going so that you guys can be involved. We'll have if you want to ask questions, you have anything that you want us to maybe touch on or bring up, yeah, put it in the chat and we'll check it out. So without further ado, let's get rolling. So rolling right in, where do we want to start? Emily?
So, do we have any notes on how the season ended?
Well,
It depends on if you're a Ryan Blaney fan or not.
so
And so pretty good.
yeah, very good. So Ryan Blaney with his first championship, another championship, second year in a row for Penske, and the second year for Ford and Penske with the next gen. So they are 2 for 2 thus far in the next gen era. Very, very fun race at Phoenix to watch. A little bit boring, a little bit laggy here and there. Enjoyed Blaney trying to run down Chastain and seeing the frustration on the in-car camera with a big old middle finger right out the window. But
Classic Blaney.
Oh, very classic. So, hot temper, very, very quick fuse on him. But very, very good end of the season overall, especially for Ryan Blaney fans.
So, moving on from that, what are we excited to see in 2024 as far as drivers?
Daniel, you want to take the lead?
You take this one.
Oh, okay, I'll take this one.
I can go first.
Oh, I'll take the lead. Okay.
Oh, we're rusty.
Okay. How we
We're
feel
rusty.
about Josh Berry? Come on.
So, go ahead, Daniel.
I've gotten over the fact that he ruined the fact that I thought he was going to go to the 4-car. And I thought that Corey LaJoy was going to go to the 4-car. And
Yeah.
my first silly season thing that I tried to stir, he's like, no. Good for him. I'm curious now that there's no, Chase Briscoe's a veteran leadership at SHR now. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't really dislike any of the drivers that they have. So, I hope it goes well. They got the new body style for Ford. So, they got Barry in the 4 and Gregson in the 10. So
Right.
I'll be curious to see their sponsorship deals throughout the year. Now that Kevin Harvick's gone and Busch left. So have they really even announced who the main? I know I saw Rush is going to be sponsoring Gregson. Have they even talked about who's going to sponsor Barry? Is it Bass Pro Shops?
Barry, so one of his sponsors is Harrison, which was on his car last year. I don't know of many other at this moment in time, but that's the main one I've seen. I think maybe Bass Pro. So, but I haven't seen that many for SHR in general, other than the normal like Haas tooling,
Mm.
and then you had Rush trucks, the Harrisons that came over with Barry from Xfinity. So there's not a whole lot that I've seen that's come in for them. I'm very intrigued, especially since they lost Bush. Where are they filling the void? You know?
It's a big hit.
So, how do y'all feel about Gragston coming back? Not
Um,
necessarily after why he got suspended, but just to see him racing again.
I am surprised he ended up back in Cup. I kind of thought he was going to take that recessed year back to Xfinity
Yeah,
just to
I
I
agree.
kind
thought
of
so too.
get his feet
I
back
agree.
under him. But I mean, if he can go to the 10 car, and I mean, SHR has made a lot of changes in the offseason from where they were last year. I mean, they do have that huge gap in the veteran leadership, but
Mhm.
I mean, they could come out and surprise everybody. Nobody expected Chris Buescher to win 3 races last year or Ryan Blaney to win a championship, you know? So, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, I'm optimistic about it. I like Noah Gragson. I think he's a heck of a race car driver. I mean, you saw it when he was at Junior Motorsports and really good equipment. And obviously, Legacy took a huge step backwards last year. Even Eric Jones struggled for the majority of the year. So
Yeah.
I
See,
think
I didn't watch
this might be
NASCAR.
on par or hopefully a little bit better than what he was in because I mean the 10 I don't know if Eric Almirola is just he's just driving if that's just all he could get out of the car or what, you know. I'm curious to see what the strength of that 10 car is because, you know, sometimes Eric Almirola can show up and it's like, wow, he's I forgot about him almost. And then sometimes you do forget about him because he's nowhere to be found. So I'd be curious to see what Gragson can do in the 10 car. I really like Barry and Gragson, so I hope SHR, you know, can take that step forward from where they were last year.
Yeah. I think SHR really has a bunch of fresh faces, a whole refresh of the organization overall. So I feel like it's a really good start and fresh start for the team, especially after losing the veterans that they had, Harvick and Almirola. But keeping
Mhm.
Priest and Briscoe there, and like you said, Briscoe, it's crazy that he's the kind of the tenure, so to speak, of the organization, being his third full time
Mhm.
season or going into his fourth, I
Yeah.
think it is. So,
Well, I
but
mean, technically, really, Priest is the veteran leadership because he was with what's JG Doherty or
yeah,
JTG Doherty for a few seasons. So
yeah, but I think Noah has potential, and I
mhm,
think that Barry has potential. I am waiting to see if SHR has potential. So
that's
that's
the kicker.
that's going to be the thing because they were the dominant Ford team and one of the top
For a
tier
while,
Ford teams,
for a
and
long time.
now they look like a what you would consider a 2019, 2018, um, probably
Roush.
Roush, yeah, like
Well, that's what
Roush
when
2021, 2022,
well,
where
that's
they
what when
didn't have
they
the speed.
switched to Ford, that's almost kind of when Roush was on that downward spiral, but that's
Hmm.
kind of what pushed Roush off that tipping block, and then you know they rose to the top. But
Yeah.
now their roles have reversed, and it's back to Roush is
So
back to being Roush.
yeah.
So,
So
what about the 15 car being shared?
so
That
well,
might be the dumbest thing Rick Ware Racing has ever done. Is
You
bring
think
in,
so?
yeah. I mean, look
yeah,
at. I wouldn't say that. I mean, yeah, I would go out and say it. Their last season compared to the seasons prior were successful. And if you look at the piece to that puzzle, is when he quit force feeding his son into the car and actually went out and got some talented on the back end of their career drivers. And look at what they did with those cars.
yeah. I mean, you saw
So,
a big increase there with how it ran. Obviously, real quick, the 15 isn't a full-time ride for Cody Ware. Cody Ware is going to
Mhm.
be filling in, I'm assuming, probably somewhere between like 15 to 25 races in the car. It's not confirmed. Sharing it with Kaz Gralla. Kaz Gralla is a guaranteed 15 right now, and Paul Menard is doing the Daytona 500 in the car. But he re-signed Cody,
So that's
and
16 or 18 more races.
yeah, something in that ballpark. But I definitely saw a step up last year after Cody was suspended. You know, they brought in Ryan Newman, Cole Custer drove the car some. They had Brennan Poole in the car,
Riley Herbst.
Riley Herbst. I think also Zane Smith drove it some. So there was a lot of different
Mhm.
young talent and older veterans with knowledge in that car, and you saw Rick Ware Racing go up because at the end of the day, NASCAR had the right to probably pull a charter, and they
Mhm.
didn't, especially after we're going to jump real quick on numbers, but they signed Justin Haley to the 51. So Justin Haley moving over to Rick Ware Racing also brings over talent and skill that we have not. We don't know what he's going to bring, but we know that those cars have ran better, and we know that they now also have a alliance with RFK. So this could be
Well,
a big
it's that
stepping
thing
stone.
that, they were at the end of last season. It's like, all right, they got this momentum. They signed Justin Haley, who has a good bit of decent potential, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
especially at like a super speedway. There's a good chance you might get that win there. So it's like they
Hmm.
take these couple steps forward and then it's just like right back to where they were.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I just think that's a dumb move.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's a final move. Like this is your
Hmm.
last attempt. So it's surprising, but hopefully it's a final move.
So it actually looks like Kaz Gralla is doing 25 races, not
Oh.
15.
Oh, I had my number wrong.
Yeah, as of 2 days ago.
Okay. So Kaz was
So I
25.
think that would
So
be interesting.
yeah, which Kaz is a pretty good young talent. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's a bona fide Cup Series star or star overall, but
No.
he runs mid pack, so he will keep the car together. He'll bring it to the finish line and save you money when it comes to paying for damages and everything. So I mean, he's a
That's what he
pretty
did. He did really, really deep. Wasn't he in the 26 car for most of the year in the Xfinity series last year
yeah.
for Toyota?
Hmm.
And then didn't he's one of the part-time drivers for JGR this year too, isn't he?
Um, I cannot confirm on that at the moment, but it looks like Emily's going to dive
Thought
into
I
that for
saw.
us.
I'm pretty sure I saw it. It was. Go to Joe Gibbs' Instagram page. They posted it either today or yesterday or the day before about that.
Um, let's see.
Probably not, since they're Ford and that's Toyota. It might be a conflict of interest, but who knows? Xfinity is a whole different animal than Cup.
So while I dive into this, let's go over just some quick driver changes. We have Daniel Hemrick going to the 31, John Hunter Nemechek going to the 42, and Justin Haley going to the 51.
Yeah,
Yes,
Hemrick to the 31.
it seems like a filler.
I mean, yeah,
It seems like
yeah.
a
I
filler.
mean, the guy's he won a championship, and that's the only race he's ever won. And,
Yeah.
but,
I mean,
I
consistency
mean,
does count for something, but
yeah.
I mean, since then he's digressed a little bit. So, but I think it may
Which
be it's a good
Colleague
move for Colleague.
digressed last year too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a good move for Colleague. John
I
Hunter to the
mean, I think they'll
42.
get a top 25 in the points out of him, honestly. I
Yeah,
mean, he is consistent, but I don't think that's that step forward that they're wanting to do because Colleague's whole thing is trophy hunting. Boy, my guy ain't hunting no trophies,
yeah. Which,
besides one.
from what I was seeing, is it looks like during the off season they were surprised with Austin Hill's deal with RCR, which means I think that
Mhm.
this was their backup plan because I think they wanted Austin Hill in the 31 in Cup, but Austin
Yeah.
Hill sees
Well,
what RCR is doing versus Colleague, And I'm going to be
Mhm.
honest, I would have stuck with Hill on that too, because there's a good chance that RCR can pick up a charter, or Austin Dillon in the next few years is going to step away from full-time driving, and he can take that 3
Mhm.
car, or if they change the number to 33, whatever it may be. So Austin Hill's looking for a big time Cup Series ride where he's competitive. And I think that's where, if he saw that
Mhm.
if he signed with Colleague, that he would be cutting his ties and possibly cutting his chances for being in competitive equipment for a long time.
Mhm. I
Because
mean, why not stay in competitive Xfinity equipment until a good Cup ride comes open?
yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. So
Yeah, as much as I'd love to see him in Cup regularly, I mean, the 16 car is an open car, so I'm sure there's that because Colleague and RCR do have that alliance. I'm sure there's that
yeah,
opportunity for him to get in there because I mean, Richard Children should be a fool to not want to get him more Cup exposure. You know.
yeah, 100%. Looking at John Hunter real quick in the 42 car, um, great sign by Legacy. I mean, that's a great
Mhm.
signing. Great deal with Legacy moving to Toyota. We'll touch on Legacy more here shortly once we get through the driver changes. But with them going to Toyota as a key partner, I think that they have a chance to be very competitive. I think the super speedways are going to be very, very competitive, especially now the
Mhm.
numbers that they have comparatively.
Oh yeah, the
So
pack of Toyotas is growing bigger. You know, the
yeah,
grass looks greener over there. You know,
so
and that's a good thing for legacy. You know, I think John Hunter Nemechek is a great sign as well. I mean, realistically, he really should have been the Xfinity Series championship. He really dominated the series for most of the year, even though he didn't win the regular season championship or the. But I mean, for the vast majority, it was his championship to lose, and he lost it. But
mhm,
you know, he's young, and you can't help but love a good comeback story. You know,
yeah,
went from truck to Cup, all the way back to truck, back to Xfinity, back to Cup. You know, he's earned it twice. Well, I don't. Well, he's definitely earned it this time. You know.
yeah. He's earned his stripes for sure on this run.
Mhm.
And well, real quick, we'll round back to the Kaz Gralla. I just saw that he will be attempting the Daytona 500 in the 36 for front row this year.
Hmm.
Oh, really?
So I did see that a moment ago while we were looking into that.
I
Um,
can't believe they didn't try and. I can't believe they didn't put Riley Herbst in it. I mean, every time they put him in there, he's killed it in that car. You know.
oh yeah, he's run up front, top 15. So Riley Herbst very good in the on the super speedways and the Cup cars.
Mhm.
So well,
All right,
from
we've already
there,
touched on Haley to the
yeah, we touched on Haley.
51. We got
We have
Zane
Haley to the
Smith.
51. I was going to say that.
Yeah, Zane Smith to the 71 with the Live Fast charter that Spire bought. That
Spire's moving this
uh,
year.
yeah, they're
Spire's spending
making
money.
big money moves.
I think
Which
that Gainbridge deal.
They got that Andretti money now. That's what that
Yeah.
is, Andretti. And
So
I've
Um,
been to an Andretti's go kart. That's expensive. They got the
it
money.
is. It's a little pricey. So
Yeah.
and
So
then
I mean, there's a lot of promising rookies in this class of Cup drivers this year.
yeah, I mean we're looking at one,
Barry,
two,
Barry,
three
Smith, and
technically.
Hocevar.
Yeah.
Because
So
Nemechek's already done a full season, so he doesn't count. Hemrick's
and
been there before, he doesn't count. Graxon's been there before, he didn't count.
yeah, so I mean, very promising pool right there. Zane Smith obviously coming to the 71, and Hocevar taking
Hmm.
the 77, both coming straight up out of trucks. Hocevar, we'll just touch on him. When his Cup Series starts that he had last year, he was impressive.
Yeah.
St. Louis,
Yep.
if he didn't blow a rotor, I mean, probably top 15 car.
Well, yeah, I mean, he put Corey LaJoy's in Hendrick equipment and always says that if he had better equipment, he'd run better. And then here comes Hocevar running his equipment while he's in Corey's and Hendrick equipment and was smoking him.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the results don't say that, but you know,
Yeah.
so what do you think they're going to do with the 16?
I
I don't even
know.
think I don't think they know.
I don't. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're running Allmendinger for the 500.
Mhm.
And I
And the
think that
road courses.
I was about to say, I think he's going to run the road courses. Otherwise, I could probably see them bringing in maybe some Brody Kostecki again.
Mhm.
Because I know Brody is doing like SVG is wanting to do, which SVG signed a multi-year deal with Trackhouse and a development deal. So he's going to be racing trucks, Xfinity, and Cup all throughout this year. For those that don't remember, he won the
He's
Chicago
full-time
Street
Xfinity.
race. Oh, he's full time?
Full-time Xfinity with Colleague. Yeah.
Okay. So I
Okay.
would imagine we'll see him in the Cup car on some ovals, and some super speedways, getting some laps under his belt. I could see them bringing Brody Kostecki back to run some laps. I could see, I mean, there's a plethora of options out there. You got
Yeah, I
Xfinity
wouldn't
guys that
put
never run.
Allmendinger. I wouldn't put Allmendinger at the super speedways. I'd be putting Austin Hill in the speedways
We'll
because that boy
probably
knows
see
how to get
him.
done.
Other
Hmm
than the Daytona 500, and I think that's just because of what it is.
The
Um,
prestige, but he'll probably be in the 62, the
for the beard.
beard oil. Yeah.
Yeah, which we'll touch on that here next week or the week after. We'll touch on the Daytona lineup and paint schemes and everything. So, but yeah, quite a new field coming this year. A lot of new
Yeah.
faces. I mean, that's what, one, two, three, four, seven full-time drivers, one or two part-time cars that are chartered, so they will be racing all 36 Cup races. So there's going to
Mhm.
be a lot of faces in and out this season. So very exciting for such a young and hungry field out there.
So before we move on to team sales, this is one thing that I know me and Alan have talked about, but I have not heard your thoughts on this. So with this class moving up right now, we have some coming from Xfinity and a few coming from Truck. Do you feel like it's possible to have a successful first season in Cup moving straight from Truck? Or do you feel like Xfinity kind of has to be a stepping stone to Cup?
Feel like for a long time, Xfinity has been the stepping stone, but everybody says that the trucks race way closer to the Cup car than the Xfinity car does. So, and it depends on what you define success, because if you look at what Ty Dillon did in the 77 last year, I believe Carson Hocevar is going to do a lot better in the
Yeah.
77. And I'm sure Zane Smith will be somewhere on par with him. They won't, they'll be close. It'll be honestly, depending on what SHR can do, the battle between them two and Barry will be pretty close. And that'll be the telltale sign, because he's the Xfinity guy and those are the two truck guys. So it'll just depend on what SHR can bring to the table this year, and what Spire's putting out a lot of money, but I hope they don't spread their resources too thin, you know?
Yeah, they have
So
grown
speaking
very
of
fast.
Spire, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying they've grown very
Um,
fast.
well, that was what I was going to say. Speaking of Spire, let's see. So they have Live Fast sells only charter to them. And then KBM Truck Series team was sold to them as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, big
they
money moves. I'm
big money
assuming
moves.
Chevrolet wasn't sponsoring KBM like Toyota was, so it was just made more sense for Kyle to get out.
Yeah.
But I'm sure towards the end of his career, he'll probably start it back up when Braxton's getting closer to being old enough to run a truck.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll start it back up then. But I mean,
Yeah.
Well, that's when he said he was going to retire out of Cup
mhm.
when Braxton gets close to truck.
So, and I know the Live Fast charter, BJ McLeod's team, I think the main reason behind that is so that they can focus on their Xfinity program. And they
Yeah, I was
want to
about to
run a
say they made a
competitive
big chunk of
Xfinity.
change to dump into their Xfinity program. So
Yeah, I think
I
charters are
expect
valued
the
at like
78.
yeah, they're valued at like 40 million, give or take,
Wow.
for one
We should
charter.
have bought one when we were in fifth grade instead of being in
Yeah,
school.
instead of being in school, we should have all pulled
Yeah.
together. So, but yeah,
There you go.
very
Yeah,
big money
I
moves.
wonder what the value of a charter was in 2008 versus what it is now.
So,
Could
well,
we
I
have
don't.
afforded one?
Oh no, no, our parents couldn't have either. Love them to
Well,
death, but they couldn't
no.
have either.
Listen, Could we have afforded one if we were where we are now? Then, you know,
I plead the fifth.
yeah.
I was gonna
I'm
say.
So,
I'm married with a kid. I can't. I'm looking at you, Alan.
no, don't look at me. Don't look at me right now. So, but yeah, no.
So, more truck series. GMS ceases their operation.
Yeah, that one was kind of weird. They were
It's a shocker.
competitive.
They
Yeah,
were.
that
I
was
mean,
didn't
well,
make
that
any
was
sense.
who was in that truck? Because
Grant Enfinger and
yeah,
Rajah Caruth. They had the 23 and the 24. And Grant Enfinger, he's in the final four. He
yeah,
almost won the championship. If
yeah.
like cautions would have fell different, he would have won the championship. If
Hmm.
Corey Heim and Carson Hocevar didn't wreck each other.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
quick note back to drivers on Corey Heim while you said that. He will be the reserve driver for Legacy in 2311 this coming season. So
I think that kind of
that's
answers your question, Emily, about whether they're looking at truck drivers or Xfinity drivers.
Well,
yeah.
that was like part of it is I've always seen them, and given I haven't watched as long as y'all have, but I've always seen them pull from Xfinity and seen them pull from truck. I'm very curious to see how it works out. I want to see how they
Times are
perform.
changing.
Times are really changing in that sense, and I think, like Daniel said, it's something with the aero package and the aero of the trucks versus Xfinity versus the next gen, and the trucks just compare so
Mhm.
similarly in traffic. I think that the dirty air affects them about very similar, whereas the Xfinity cars have a little bit more slide and move. We talked about last year multiple times that the Xfinity series was a series to watch, especially on short track racing because
That's the
they
best
race
racing.
it. And I think that's a telltale because the trucks normally aren't that big of a show. So, but it's very interesting to
Well,
see that
it's a
change.
show,
Oh,
but
it's
it's
a
a shit show.
yeah, it's a different kind of show for sure.
Yeah.
So,
So for drivers, we have Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin possibly out of the clash.
so currently I think they are in. They both had their shoulder surgeries in the off season.
Mhm.
So,
Right, and
um,
there's a chance they could be out.
so
I doubt it. They're competitors, you know. That's what even if they're not 100%, I think they're going to get in the car and go, you know.
Let's see.
yeah.
Let me
The
see if there's any since
I think if
we
there's
have
anywhere to
looked
make
into.
sure that you are okay, though, I think the Clash would be a good place because you're looking at a quarter
Yeah,
mile
just
oval versus starting at the Daytona. So
yeah,
at
well,
the
I mean, go
duels,
out there and play bumper cars and see how you feel. If, you know, pull off.
yeah.
If you don't,
I think the
and
highest speed
if
they reach at LA is like 65 to 70 miles an hour on these straights, but I mean it's a quarter mile bull ring. So, but definitely it was. I know it was something notable back in December that Denny was talking about that he's not sure what percentage he will feel by the time the Clash comes around.
Mhm.
Chase obviously very quiet about that kind of stuff. He talked about it a little bit, but really didn't say much of anything otherwise. So I did see a comment from him that he said he's
Definitely say.
learned
Go
more
ahead.
about his shoulders and legs than he ever wanted to know in his life this past year.
I bet. You
So,
think he's going to be on the ski slopes this year?
yeah, yeah. They're NASCAR drivers, man. They're crazy and adrenaline junkies. Gotta get
Yeah,
that
but
fill.
I definitely think if one of the two of them are at the clash, it would be Elliott over Hamlin. Which Hendrick actually, I just looked at it. They released Chase Elliott's paint scheme for the clash,
Okay.
so it's
Yeah,
pretty
I don't think
pretty
either
good
one of
chance he'll
them are
be
going to
there.
miss it, to be honest.
I think
Yeah,
Elliott wouldn't. Hamlin, they haven't confirmed.
yeah. He's too competitive. He's not going to miss it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely interesting to see. At least they're trying to get healthier. So I know Hamlin's up. Is he over 40 now? Right? Or is he not? Was he
Let's
close to?
see.
I know Chase is in his
Mm,
late 20s. But I know Hamlin. I mean, he's been in the series since what 2006. So he's
He
going
is
on
43.
43. and still running for championships and actually running competitively. So he's going to drive until his wheels fall off.
Running for championships, not winning them.
Yeah, running for it. So it's that cycle, you know. We're here and we're running great. We're winning races. We get to the playoffs. We run great. Round of 8 hits and we crash out at Homestead.
Have you seen that reel on TikTok and Instagram that it was Denny Hamlin talking about Brad Keselowski in 2008, and he was like, the more people see him drive, the more they're going to realize he's not that great of a race car driver. And then it like shows him gray, and it says Denny was in fact wrong. Brad went on to win the championship in 2012. He said, and then they said 16 years later, Denny still has not won a championship. I think RFK made that reel.
So I'll tell you what, RFK has a phenomenal social media department.
Yes.
So they are probably one of my favorite socials to follow. Like Colleague was up there, but RFK's really stepped it up this offseason. I've enjoyed their
Did you
reels.
see the convertible NASCAR that they had driving around?
Yeah,
That would
Consumer
be so
Cellular
cool.
is sponsoring Brad for I think 6 races, starting with Atlanta actually. So we may get to see that car when we go to Atlanta, out in the fan zone. I would presume that it's going to be there, and but it's a convertible cup car, and it is hilarious when his crew chief comes out. And he's like, "Hey, yeah, NASCAR said this is highly illegal."
It's a technicality.
Technicality, it's not on.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Kyle Larson pulling double duty Memorial Day
I'm excited for that.
That's
for the
a
Indy 500.
lot of miles in one day.
Yeah,
That's a lot of miles.
1,100
'Cause
miles.
if that Coke 600 goes to overtime, he's going to be like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah. I will say this: I want to order the diecast for the IndyCar and the Cup car for sure.
I was going to say he's
Because
running the same scheme for both cars, isn't he?
They're matching schemes. So,
That's
and he's running with a McLaren for the Indy
Mhm.
race, and then obviously he's a Hendrick driver. But it's like an orange and blue scheme. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love it. But I definitely am gonna try to get both of those diecasts put side by side. But yeah, that's a lot. I think last year somebody ran over 900 miles just in the Coke 600 races running Xfinity and Cup.
I
Or
think it was Justin Haley.
it may have been
Because
Justin Haley.
remember, it got rained out. The Xfinity race got rained out, so they did it after the Coke 600. And Kyle Busch was supposed to do it, but he's like, nah. So Justin Haley did it.
Oh yeah, it was the most miles in a day in NASCAR, and they raced after the Cup race, and I think he did like 900 plus miles. And it was him and Ty
Right.
Gibbs, but he beat out Ty Gibbs because Ty wrecked out. But yeah, that's going to be. I'm excited for that. That's the first time since I think Tony Stewart did it in
Either
20.
Stewart or Bush.
Yeah, it was either Kurt Busch or Tony Stewart, but I think it was like 2014, 2013, somewhere in that ballpark. So it's going to it's cool to see.
So
pulling
it
double duty.
says Haley logged 898.5 miles, while Gibbs
That's real.
completed 897.
There you
Right
go.
there.
898 and a half
Close
miles in a
for the
day.
next cigar.
That's a lot of miles.
That's light work. Kyle Larson's about to do 1,100.
Yeah.
Put some respect on his name.
A lot faster for the first 500 too. So,
Gosh, that's insane. How fast those Indy I don't know how they get their balls in the cockpit. To be honest, there's no way. There's no way I would go full speed in one of those bad boys. No way. Well, I say no way, but
I'd do it.
I'd
be scared to death doing it the entire time. Everything would be just tense as can be, just shaking on the steering wheel, but I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just for the chance.
White
Yeah,
knuckle.
you couldn't fit a toothpick up my butthole if I did it, but I'd give it a try.
So, well, we touched on this a little bit earlier. I'm gonna touch on it for a second, but the Busch Light leaving SHR. So Chastain, the have you guys seen the paint scheme for that car?
Yeah, it's pretty clean.
Oh, it's probably one of my favorite Busch schemes that I've seen. Other than like the one-offs. For a primary, I think that it's a solid scheme. I think the coloring is great. I really wish that they'd have done something funny with a watermelon.
Yeah.
So, but like Advent Health used to do a
There's
really
still time.
cool gesture. Oh, I'm sure it's coming.
I
Dude, they
mean,
did.
Busch Light used to throw some weird paint schemes on Kevin Harvick's cars.
I mean, you remember the
Super
AF
weird
scheme,
paint
right?
schemes.
That was all pink.
Yeah, and
That was like,
yeah, it was like in 2020 or 2019. I remember because on like NASCAR Heat, whatever, there was like 30 Kevin Harvick paint schemes because they had so many different ones.
yeah, there was so many, and it was honestly fun to see. But yeah, it's SHR's got to fill up a lot of funding this year, and where they're going to find it, we'll see. One of the sponsors that did sign with SHR and Barry was Sunny D, so they did move over to SHR. But where they're going to find the rest of it, who knows?
Some high quality OJ. I love a good Sunny D.
That's right.
Sunny D's nuts.
Oh man. Well,
Very quickly regretting my decision to agree to this.
it's boys' hour.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, well, what we got next up on the schedule?
Jonathan is going to try to race 9 races this year.
Why do you say try?
Well, because he was supposed to race 4 last year and did like 2.
Well, and the
Which
two
he
that
had personal issues. Yeah,
He
but
half fulfilled his commitment.
but the two that he raced,
Yeah.
he didn't even finish a stage. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I'm
So
trying to
it
defend
was-
him here.
It's one of those things like you never want to see your hero fall from grace, but unfortunately that's
he's
what
not really my hero because I was just tired of seeing him win.
Oh, he's not
But
mine
now
either,
that he's
but, like,
gone, yeah,
his
now that he's gone,
fans-
I'm like, wow, that guy was good.
and now it's
And
like,
I'm
Now
wow.
that he's out of the picture, we're
It's
like,
like-
wow, now I miss him.
Yeah, well, no, not even that. It's just like, don't. But he's gonna, and hopefully he does good.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything that he does can really tarnish his legacy.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But if he wants to drive 9 cup races, he owns the team. He can do what he wants. He's got the sponsors and he's got the capability. Let him do what he wants.
Yeah. I mean, let him have it. I know I think Carvana's back with him. I don't know if they are running all 9 races with him, but they are
I
back
think
with him.
he's got he has a couple different
Dollar Tree,
sponsors.
Dollar
Tree, Dollar
Family
General.
Family Dollar. It's not Dollar General,
Oh,
Family Dollar.
Family Dollar and Dollar Tree.
Something
Not to
dollar.
be confused with the Dollar Generals.
Yeah, Dollar General is its own monopoly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jimmy Johnson, welcome back. I know that he's probably gonna try what he tried last year, Coke 600, the big races, and then
the
marquee events, and then probably some road courses, and we may see him on a couple different
Dover.
ovals. Yeah, places that he probably
Dover,
dominated.
Charlotte.
So I don't think his schedule's been released. I know
Most places.
So we'll see where he goes from there. But moving on to some oddities going into 2024. I'll start with one real quick that's not on our list, but Indy is back.
Thank God.
They are no longer racing the road course this year, as was speculated after the events renewals were sent out, where it had the cars going the other way. Which people catching that kind of stuff, like I envy you a little bit because I'd have never thought about that. But also I don't think about it a lot. So, but yeah, so Indy, the regular circuit's back, so they will be racing the what is that even called? I mean, it's not an oval. It's not
Brickyard.
Brickyard. Yeah, there you go. The Brickyard. So the Brickyard,
You're welcome.
was it Brickyard 400, right?
Yeah, the 400, not the 500.
Yeah, Brickyard 400 will be back in 2024, coming this summer. But from there, what other oddities do we have on the schedule, Miss Amelie?
Wait, just
Well, I actually went. Oh,
touch back on the Jimmy Johnson thing.
I was literally about to do that. I
So he's
found.
running the 500, Texas, Dover, Kansas, Charlotte, and Las Vegas.
Yep.
You stole her thunder.
I know, right? I was so excited. I found that all by myself. Research.
Pachuga. Here comes lightning.
All right. Well,
All
I'll give
right,
you some
another
thunder back.
oddity.
All right.
Thank you. Let's see. Let's see what the another thing is. Promoters bashing Dirt Bristol. I heard that a lot of people had a problem with Dirt Bristol, right?
You heard right.
Yes.
Okay,
And
explain that to me. Why does everyone hate Dirt Bristol?
It sucked.
it
Didn't work
really,
right.
yeah,
It wasn't the product they were aiming for.
Mm-mm. They
So
should have.
they were trying to get back to a dirt track, and it just was Bristol just not the track.
The thought of it was like a good,
Oh, it
like,
was a great marketing gimmick. 100%.
yeah, like it's one of those things that, you and your buddy are having a cold beer around a bonfire. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. You should have been in bed by now and be like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just threw dirt on a racetrack and tried a dirt race? Like, yeah. And then they woke up the next morning and they're like, oh, maybe we should do that. And in fact, they should have not.
Yeah. So it was the first year they raced during the day. Well, the dirt all stirred up, and then it was just cloud. So if you were in the
The
grandstand, you
Dust
couldn't
Bowl.
see. Yeah, the Dust Bowl basically. And then from there,
Mocking.
the next year you just had a bad finish, with Chase Briscoe just absolutely taking out Tyler Reddick, and then Kyle Busch comes out of nowhere and steals the race.
Yeah.
And
We love a
then
good Kyle Steele.
last year, I don't even
FKB.
remember who.
No.
I don't even remember who won the race last year, but it just wasn't
Christopher
as good of
Bell.
a product. Christopher Bell, but it wasn't
Well,
a great
I
product.
I think the racing progressively got better.
Right.
It's just give me my dang Bristol. I don't want dirt on my Bristol. I'm a purist. Go race at a real dirt track. I don't
Go
care.
take that off your
Like, I'm not opposed to a dirt race. Not at Bristol.
Yeah. So
I don't get
mean,
the importance of not having a
Eldora,
dirt Bristol.
you got plenty of places to go. So I don't see what the point in that was, other than like the gimmick side of it was my biggest thought on it was a gimmick side. But I do think the bashing thing is, and it's the way they're promoting it, and it's the statement of vintage NASCAR short track racing is back. Catch the Food City 500 this March on concrete, the way it's meant to be raced. And that's the track promoters putting
Amen.
it that way. And I mean, I don't
Yeah.
disagree, but the shade being thrown is just
Are they
immense.
kind of throwing shade at themselves if it's the track promoter saying that?
A little bit at that point, but I guess they realized the
Okay.
error of their ways, and they've decided to at least, I guess, make it funny or cringy, however you want to look at it.
I
So
thought you were going to say they deleted it. And I was like, it's too late. We got receipts. We seen it.
we got the receipts. We keep them stacked. Let me get them out. So, well, talking about some concrete and pavement, NASCAR has paved over portions of the backstretch
Reese.
at Daytona where Priest flipped, and more paving is planned after the 500. But it was due to the timeline with the 24 hours coming up. This, I think
I gotta
it's
be honest, I hate
this
watching
weekend.
Priest's crash.
So that was violent.
It
But
gives me like literally, it makes me cringe.
I wish that you guys could have felt the atmosphere of the racetrack when that happened. It's like the life got sucked out of everybody When
I bet it was like dead silent.
Dude, I couldn't
you could have
imagine.
heard a pin drop.
No, I tell you, I fell asleep during that race, and what I woke up to was Alan screaming at the top of his lungs,
It
and
was
I thought
wild.
someone was breaking into my house.
It's like,
Hang on.
oh my
And I even
God.
woke up enough to look and see what was going on, and he was still just going.
You mean
And
to
I was
tell
like,
me
"Is this ever gonna end?"
that you fell asleep during the playoff cutoff race at Daytona?
I was tired.
That's what I was saying, honestly. Like, that's why
Where
I
did
didn't
you
care.
find her?
So, hey, she's new here. She
Hey,
gets
I'm
a
not
pass.
too new, but I'm still new.
But yeah, no, it was
I'm learning.
that was a violent wreck. There was a lot of
Ugh.
things that they saw in that wreck. Priest was involved in the two most violent wrecks, I'm pretty sure. That involved multi cars of 2023 with absolutely door slamming Kyle Larson at like 60 miles an
Oh
hour at
yeah,
Talladega
Dega. Yeah,
in the
yeah.
He
spring
deserves it.
and bending the door bars in. And then that roll where the hatch literally came off on the first barrel roll. I mean, you could see his helmet during the roll.
Yeah.
So,
I will
I
be
If
mean,
you
honest.
think that's
I
bad, you
saw
should
I
join a
saw that, and
NASCAR
that
Heat 5
that was
buddy.
scary.
yeah, if you think that's bad, just go
That
race in Heat 5. So, but yeah, that was a scary wreck. Very good to see that they're doing something about it. I hate it because Daytona does look really cool as what it is, but I mean, you gotta implement the safety measures there because think about the other cars that do race there as well. You got the 24 hours coming up. There's so many series that race there that just for a safety aspect that could have that chance to do the same thing if they were in that same situation scenario. So, it sucks for the viewing of it, but it's good for the safety measures for sure.
And I mean, it's not like they still can't sell sponsorships. Just get out. You got to paint it on there, anyways. You know.
Yeah. I mean, they already do it at like Charlotte, for example. Charlotte's
Hmm.
infield in the what is it? What do you want to call it? Trioval there area. The dog leg and everything is all painted anyways by hand. So it's nothing to do it. They do it at Sonoma, multiple places. So just sell the sponsorships, sell the slots, and make some money.
So let's see, what do we have on the docket? NASCAR planning on a remote race control in its new building in Concord.
Yeah, I saw something on that. It's supposed to be kind of like what we refer to as the Cup Series, Xfinity Truck Series teams, their war rooms. Um, and I think their goal is to make some. We're gonna put some quotes on that. Some calls from afar, but they have been very on the money about the fact that they are not letting that be what calls a race. That the tower at the track still calls a race. But I think this may be for some like penalty aspects, some if they may need to call the caution,
Yeah.
a little bit more. Hopefully, this leads to some more consistent officiating from NASCAR. Obviously,
Yeah.
we saw differences last year. You see it every year. It's all humans. Think about, I mean, you look at other sports as well, but also if you compare it to other sports, the NBA, MLB, NFL, they all have replay rooms in remote locations that review plays. So, like when the MLB challenges a play, it's reviewed by a replay booth and a replay room. So that's away from there. So that something along those lines is what it seems like they're going to. Um, I think it's a good call. Something to create more even officiating. I'm down for.
I mean, this is going to help unblur some of the lines. I mean, there's so much stuff that gets missed, or cautions that should have been called that weren't called, or cautions that were called that shouldn't have been called. And I mean, it's just really quality control is what it boils
Yeah,
down to that they're doing. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm glad that they're doing it. It's necessary, you know,
yeah.
as long as it's not overbearing, you know.
Hmm. So no, I think it's a good call.
We've been focusing a lot on Cup, so let's switch over to Xfinity just a little bit. So
Mhm.
their backup cars will no longer be wrapped if used in a race. Solid color with OEM and other decals, but no full wraps. They're saying it's due to time and money concerns.
I mean, I'm sure if that's what came about, I believe that probably is something that came from team owners. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
do we have to wrap these cars? You know, we
Yeah.
didn't used to have to wrap them. If it was a backup car, it looked primer white or primer gray or primer black. And that's it, that's what you got. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that probably came from the team owners and as their money. I don't care. It's not going to change how I feel about anything if the car's not wrapped or not.
It may change how some sponsors feel, though. I mean, you pay for a slot on the car and then you don't get your slot. I mean, you don't get that screen time that you just paid hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars for. It's that could hurt. I mean, looking at it for a Cup Series quarter panel, it's like over $50,000 to sponsor it for a race.
We could swing that to get our logo smack on the side, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me just let
Yeah,
me make a
yeah,
phone call.
Y'all go ahead.
yeah.
But yeah,
This is my first episode.
the backup cars. I mean,
That's your
I
initiation fee. If you want to be
yeah
part, you got to pay 50 grand.
yeah.
Yes, I'm
That's how we ring
sorry.
you in.
Let me just
Yeah.
dip out of here real quick.
End call. But yeah, I think it's a good call for the money side of it. I saw also when it comes to the backup cars that the lower tier teams will only be allowed one car or like two or three car teams only have one backup car and higher number car teams have two, but that's the max that you have for the weekend. So, again, just a money saving thing. Because if you think about it this way, if you run a one off scheme, think about Chase back at Darlington this past year, wrecked out in qualifying, and then they ran the backup scheme. And it's a one off scheme. If you want it wrecked out, that's a wasted money. I mean, granted, it's Hendrick, so it's not really wasted money to them, but it's wasted money in general. So to print out the wrap and then not even use it.
You're saying 4-car Xfinity teams only get 2 backup cars for the weekend?
Yeah, the four. I mean, you got some 5-car Xfinity teams too. They only get two. Two is the max limit from
All right,
everything that
so
I've been reading.
say the 1, 7, 8, and 9 all practicing drafting at Daytona, and they get wiped out.
By
Only
Two of
two
themselves.
of
them
them
not getting
can
to
compete.
race.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to end up being. Is two of them only get to compete.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, yeah. Break it out.
I think that's actually how they decide it. They're like, all right, sit in a circle.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no kumbaya here. They're not friends anyway,
yeah.
so it's
Everybody
okay.
draw straws. Yeah, they don't. Well, this group of cats might like each other, but the last group did not.
Yeah. So, well, moving from there, talking about sponsors and everything, Cup Series will be allowed to place light up video boards on the
My
pit wall.
thunder stolen again.
My
Taken right out from
apologies.
under me.
I'll let you finish reading
Ugh,
it.
You gotta be quicker than that.
Yeah. I mean, hang the dollar bill over.
I'm trying not to interrupt.
You
So,
gotta be quicker than that. Get the pen. Oh, we're gonna have too much fun with this video stuff. So, just as a reminder to
so
everybody,
literally the pit wall will now be lit up with sponsors and Cup, from my understanding.
That is lit.
Cockpit row is gonna be so lit.
honestly, the night races will probably be pretty cool. But I
I was
think
thinking about that
With
too.
like neon and stuff. Gosh,
from
I wish that was such a cool concept at the All-Star race when they put neon on the cars, but I hate that they restricted it to this OEM got this color and blah, blah, blah. But
yeah, I wish
that's
you
a
could run
song
scheme
for another
color.
time.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, no. So from what I'm understanding, these boards aren't going to be like neon signs of like Napa or of Menards. It's going to be a full board that can cycle between logos. So they'll be able to cycle multiple teams or multiple sponsors throughout the race. and cycle their logos through on these boards. But it's very, very interesting and cool concept that's going to probably bring more money into the sport too, in that sense.
Dang, I was kind of hoping it would be like literally an LED sign, not like a screen. I feel like the signs would be cooler.
Yeah, if you've seen
Well,
like
it's
the
probably an
baseball
LED screen,
backstops,
if that helps.
it that is
Thank you,
true.
Daniel.
But if you've seen the on most baseball stadiums now have them as their backstops, that have the LED
Right.
screens, it's going to be something along those lines, from my understanding.
It'll basically be like what a jumbotron is in an
Yeah.
arena.
But smaller.
So
Not jumbo. It's just a regular Tron.
it's just a Tron.
Yeah, not jumbotron, just a regular Tron.
So,
So-
do we think this next season that Spire and Trackhouse will start an alliance?
Yes, because they did.
Well, yeah, but how do we feel like that's gonna go? Was more my question. I was trying to be.
Oh, it will be mutually beneficial
I
because Spire is housing the driver that Trackhouse wants to bring up in case Suarez
Right.
doesn't pick his game up. And
Hey, don't talk about Suarez like that.
well, your boy needs to step it up.
I agree. I agree. Look, he just had a rough season. Leave him alone. He'll be fine.
Yeah, probably not, but but they're that's just a seat until they can figure out either to add another charter to buy one from somebody or whatever. And Spire's getting free money.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not Spire's pocket. So I think
They
I think
bought
it's
the
very
charter.
beneficial.
Trackhouse is funding the ride, so
Yeah, I mean,
good for Spire.
I think at
Big
the end
money
of the
moves.
day, it's Spire is just the front office there is making probably some of the best offseason moves we've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So they I don't know, man. They're making some really good moves when it comes to the bringing in people, assigning people, putting people in the right places, and then bringing in the right alliances, the right friendships, and so to speak, and uh, the holds, quote unquote, for other teams. So very very well done on Spire's part this offseason to just grow and continue to grow and prove that they are wanting to be a um, competitive upfront team every week.
So, let's see. What do we got? How we're going to be watching is different. So, the Xfinity series exclusively is now on the CW. What do we feel? How we feel?
Starting next year in 2025 is when it'll switch up.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I'm like really curious to see who they're gonna have announcing. So that's the real kicker is
Yeah,
who am I gonna listen to?
have any of
I'm going to
us
be
seen
honest.
anything on that yet?
No,
Hmm?
that's what I was just Googling it, and it's just news about that it's starting in 2025 with CW,
Okay.
which the CW is doing a lot to grow their sports networking because I think they got no, I don't think they have any NFL games, but I know they do have some sports games that are still air on the CW. So
Yeah, that's
they're
going to
trying to do
be
what they can to go that avenue.
yeah, I mean they're coming from a pretty a pretty young audience that's on the CW with the shows they're on
Mhm.
there. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's where I used to watch my cartoons when I was a kid a lot on Saturday
mhm.
mornings. That's where Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that came on.
Get it on the CW. So
Yep.
very, very solid choice there. They have the rights through, I think, 2031 as well as the Cup Series deal that came through. Um,
Have you seen how they split up the races for the Cup Series?
I'm a fan.
Fuck.
I mean,
We were around for the TNT, ESPN, Fox, NBC era to
speed.
where it was just all over the place. The Speed
Yeah, there was.
network.
I remember Speed when I was little.
Yeah, this is a
You're
much
you're on
better format.
Speed. Oh,
Do we need to make a call?
yeah.
So
It's fun.
My name is
Fun.
Emily.
This is anonymous.
I mean,
Yeah.
I did go to dig at a year and a half old.
Rachel Praisdale.
No, I'm sorry. He was already gone by the time I went. I wish.
Send a prayer. Pour one out for the boys.
Number 3 on the track, number 1 in the heart.
So, the Cup Series, so it's through 2031 starting next year, 2025. So Fox will host the first 14, as normal, Daytona 500 to Clash. NBC will host the final 14. And then where does it go from there, Emily?
Let's see. We got Prime Video and TNT Sports will evenly split a series of 10 midseason races.
So it'll be that midseason slump we get every year is where they'll have the split.
But Prime though?
You know,
I think that's what threw me.
Everybody, well, honestly, at this day and age, who doesn't have Amazon Prime? And if you don't have it, you're using your aunts or your uncles or your friends or your moms or
Mhm.
your dads. Somebody's got Amazon Prime.
You didn't have to call me out like that, but you're completely right.
Oh yeah, shots
Yeah.
were fired directly at you.
Well, my other take on that is I have Amazon Prime and I actually have a Fire TV. And when Thursday Night Football was on, they have a Prime deal. It pops up when you turn on the TV. It's there, like you can watch it here.
A lot
So
of exposure.
a lot of exposure to a very young audience. So I'm very excited for that. And TNT, they have the deal with Barroom Sports and Max. So they're going to be on streaming on HBO and Barroom Sports add-on. So it's going to be very good to get the exposure of the new deal. I think is going to be very good. And also, my favorite part of it is that all season long, for the first half of the season, Prime is going to cover practice and qualifying. For the second half, it'll be through the Barroom Sports add-on and True TV will have the practice and qualifying for the entire season, other than your one-off events, so the Clash, the 500, and the All-Star Race. So, I think it's a very good deal. I'm excited for the streaming aspect. I think if NASCAR didn't have any streaming in this deal, it would be very detrimental to the sport as a whole, because that is where everything's moving to, is to the streaming side. So cable TV, network TV is not where it used to be.
It's becoming obsolete. Hardly anybody has AT&T or DirecTV or anything, or Comcast or anything like that. I mean, they got their Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
but everybody's on YouTube TV or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have direct.
Nobody's.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go.
Direct TV Stream is what I use, which is it's Direct TV, but the streaming platform of it. So, I mean, I don't even no need for a cable box. You just download the app to the TV and call it a day. So that's where everything's
Watch
going.
it anytime, anywhere.
That's right. So
I was about to say we watched
right now.
plenty of races at dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I love YouTube TV. Like, Ashley gets mad at me, but like we'll be over at like our family's house on a Sunday or something after church, and I'm like, bro, I'm watching NASCAR.
It's race day.
And I'll go find a room. I'll go find a room and be by myself and just watch NASCAR on my phone. Or I'll bring my laptop or my iPad or something to where I can watch it a little bit better. But I'm not missing my NASCAR race.
Yeah, no need to miss that. So, but yeah, big TV deal coming out after this year. I'm excited to see where the broadcasting goes for the CW at least, and we'll see from there. So,
right. So we have some package rule changes. I'm gonna be honest. Know nothing about these, so I'm just gonna read them and y'all commentate as needed. So they have a new era package debuting at Phoenix. Simplified diffuser. Drivers said that they could they could slide the car more, but did not lose the car. I'm gonna be honest, that makes absolutely no sense to me.
I know exactly what you just said.
It makes perfect
Mhm.
sense here. So
hmm
what they Daniel, you want to elaborate on this one?
Yeah. You don't have a picture of the diffuser or anything, do you?
I do
I
not
mean, I can look.
currently.
Okay. You got one of your do you have a next gen diecast?
I do actually. I'll be back
Run and get it
momentarily.
quickly.
Run.
We're gonna give you the 411 on what a diffuser is. It's basically it's under the car, and it breaks up the way air goes under the car. It diffuses the air under the car.
Oh, it's almost like that is the name of the thing.
Exactly. See, you're learning. Um, yeah. So, but it was just doing too much, you know.
All right, guys. So we're gonna start out with number one, the
With our
wash
Ford cutaway car.
Ford cutaway car. So first off, we have our diffuser here. So this is a diffuser in the back of the car to help with downforce on the car. What they've done is they've simplified it. But Daniel, I'll let you go from there, sir.
Yeah. I was just basically explaining what the diffuser does while you were gone. So the way the diffuser was working, it was giving them so much downforce that the cards wouldn't like break loose to where you could slide it, and you know, and there's a lack of power thing in the horsepower, but we're not gonna get into that. So they're able just to basically, I think it's giving them less control but more control at the same time, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Alan, you're picking up what I'm putting down, aren't you?
Yeah. So, I mean, what it basically means is like the rear end of the car will yaw a little bit, but it's a yaw that they have control of to where, say, you're wanting to go from the bottom to the top and take position, do a slide job, something along those lines. The car is more willing to slide and it's not as stuck in its line and it can move out of its groove and actually go up or
Oh,
come back down. So it's going to be more efficient when it comes to the short track racing style of letting the car and letting the driver be able to move the car more than where we've seen at Martinsville the past 2 years. You downshift, you miss turn two, one of the turns, you just downshift and you're right back there. You don't lose any time. So, and it's going to be a big help, hopefully, in the racing. From everything that we've heard, it should be a big help in the racing. Did y'all touch on where it's going to be ran thus far?
well, no, I'm not. So I was just reading over that too. So it's not set to be used for Bristol or Dover currently. They're awaiting the results for Phoenix, Richmond. Oh, sorry, I skipped a line. They're awaiting results from Phoenix, Richmond, and Martinsville in the first quarter of the season to see if it is going to be a permanent change.
Yeah. I mean, I think those will be. I think Richmond and Martinsville will be the telltale signs of it. Phoenix, not so much. I mean, it's you could call it a short track, but it's really not. They just race
And
a
it's
short
gonna
track
suck
package.
either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
if we see a good Phoenix race, then we know it's a good package. That's going to be the thing.
Yeah.
So,
Or it might be really bad. It might be so bad that it made Phoenix good.
yeah. So it's a hit or miss on it, but as something I heard on this today talking about aero and changes is all the OEMs are up for upping the horsepower. The issue is the next gen is not able to handle that much horsepower. It's the way it's built. They would have to redesign the bodies and redesign how it flows to make it a viable option.
I mean, they just did it to the Fords and the Toyotas.
Yeah. So, well, what we got next up?
Qualifying changes. I don't know why I'm kind of excited about the when I read over them. So typically after the top 10 in qualifying, 11 through 40 were decided by the fast lap time. Well, the change will come after the Daytona 500, where Group A will go in time order, setting the outside row, and Group B will go in order, setting the inside for the beginning of the race.
This is something, Alan, that me and you touched on the phone the other day.
Yeah.
Is a lot of times Group A would get out there on a green track and there'd be no grip and they'd lay all the rubber, and then Group B would get out there and lay heaters because Group A laid all the rubber down. And then after they let their cars cool off and Group
Mhm.
B's cars cool off, Group B kind of picked up all that rubber at the end, and then Group A had to go back out there on a green track again. And or it could be a track to where that kind of works backwards to where you want a green track. Just that it's all really dependent on track temp, weather, wind, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But you often see that Group B could have 9 people that had a faster lap time than the person who was 6th in Group A. That was the first person out of the next round of qualifying. And
Yeah.
then you'd see Group A just all the way at the back. So I think that makes that a little bit more fair for Group A or B,
Mhm.
depending on the conditions of the race. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing. And I don't know why they didn't do that to begin with. It's
Yeah.
basically how Daytona is for we're
Yeah.
just not
For
having
dual
duels
races.
to determine the rest of it.
Yeah, no, I
Well,
think it's a
yeah,
very good adjustment and change that was needed. Again, we saw a lot of that last year, and we've seen it in years past where the other group that's not on a green track or the group that gets on a green track that's hot. I mean, it may be one way or the other skewed, and you may run a great lap time in your group, but you still end up starting 20th. So I think it's a very good addition to the rules change and to qualifying change to be able to allow um, the groups to line up inside and outside row based on their order in their group so that they're not getting as shafted per se in that. So
All
everybody
right,
still
are we
there?
ready to move on to the clash?
Yes.
I'm gonna say.
Clash at the
All right,
Coliseum.
so I'm just so excited for NASCAR to come back. I'm gonna be honest. This has felt like such a long break.
Yes.
So, NASCAR Mexico Series is to race Saturday, February 3rd at the Coliseum.
hmm
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know they had a Mexico Series.
Daniel
I
Suarez's
learn something
championship
every
of the
day.
Mexico Series.
You're
Dios
actually right. I did
míos.
know that. Now
And
that you say that, I remember
he
you
is
telling me that.
racing in the Mexico Series Clash as well.
¿Qué es tu problema?
So yeah.
So I'm gonna have
Um
to watch it.
yeah. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna watch it. It's NASCAR.
One of my two boys.
So
So
um
MGK is gonna be doing a mid-race concert.
I'd rather have Eminem. Eminem.
Me too.
yeah, I think it is good that obviously they did it last year too, just having relevant artists that bring in a different atmosphere. Because I mean,
I
think
think that
about it
may be
this
their
way:
goal.
you're in the Coliseum. It's a pretty tight space. I mean, it's a football stadium. At the end of the day, it's a football stadium. So you buy tickets
Mhm.
to the race to go to a concert, and you get a
Yeah.
race.
When you say relevant,
Yeah, I
are you
mean,
talking about Wiz Khalifa and Ice Cube? Are they
I,
relevant?
I loosely,
Relevancy is a loose term now.
Yeah, MGK is relevant.
yeah,
Well,
Oh yeah, definitely now.
he's irrelevant, but he's relevant.
yeah, irrelevantly
Only because
relevant.
he's dating Megan Fox. Let's be
Yeah,
honest
he's
here.
relevant because he's dating Megan Fox, and that's only because I wasn't old enough, you know, when she started dating.
Hold on.
I could have locked her down a long time ago.
Hold on. I just wanna
Are we getting Megan Fox's age right now? Just to verify that this
so
is
he's
factual information.
33. So he's what?
Okay.
How much older than you? So
9
he's
years.
33, and Megan
I don't,
6
I
years.
don't
Fox,
want to talk about it.
7 years.
she's
Oh my gosh, my math
37.
is everywhere. She's 37?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like, it
Not that much older than me now that I think about it. Only 10 years.
Yeah, you
Ashley.
know.
She's sleeping.
Hold
She
on.
ain't getting that.
I'll just let me text her real
Shoot,
quick.
shoot a text.
Yeah.
Well, one of our last points of the night, this is something that I'm excited about, so I really want to lead into it. I just think it's cool. So NASCAR is showing off a new EV crossover style vehicle at the Clash. We saw some leaked pictures last year. It had a 3-day test at Martinsville with David Reagan driving. David Reagan will also drive it at the Clash. And by the end of the third day, it was within a couple tenths of the Cup cars at Martinsville. It's no specific manufacturer, no plans for a series, and NASCAR is looking at this and other options, such as hydrogen combustible engines as well. So it's not like this is replacing NASCAR, but it's something that they are very intrigued with, interested with, and also trying to get back to the tip of innovation within. So because being behind the ball versus being in front of the ball for the OEMs and being like, hey, this is what we're doing. Would you want to be a part? I think is a very good drawing point. But
I mean, you could get teams at that point. You could get like a Kia or a Honda,
right.
a Lexus. You could get a lot of different options in that. So when
Mhm.
you say is David Reagan gonna like race it at the Clash just to see how it
Or is
does
he just
against the
gonna
other
drive
cars,
it?
or is he just gonna kind of like parade lap around the place?
I would assume that it's going to be like a couple parade laps, but I'd also expect the cat just fell through the crate. Sorry about that. I would also expect that
Let him out.
no, he's fine. He's not in the crate. He just fell like his legs fell through the top jumping over it. Um,
Oh, poor
but
baby.
the I would assume that he's actually going to show the car and its capabilities as well. I don't think it'd
Oh
be
yeah, you
like
got to
if we
lay a heater
saw.
down.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like see what you can put down.
It's
See if
like
you can
when
be up there.
Garage 56 took a couple laps around the Roval.
So I
Yeah,
have like a crazy idea. What if they just created a new EV series?
that's something that's been speculated. So because I mean, you look at Formula E. I think is what it is. They have a
Formula One.
they have a
Well, if they're saying
electric
that
Formula
they're
series.
not going to replace, it's not replacing NASCAR. Like they're not going to switch Cup over to an EV.
Oh
What
God.
if they just created a fourth NASCAR series with EV vehicles? I feel like that'd be kind of cool. I would watch it.
It's a likely thing for sure in the future, whether it's EV, hydrogen combustible, or some other alternative fuel method. Because I mean that's where we're going in our times now. I mean, it's
You just
just
got to
kind of
think about how long could they, what kind of like, how long of a race could they run in electric vehicles? It'd have to be like a 150-mile race.
yeah.
Because
You
you
gotta look at
think
sustainability.
how many miles to a battery charge does a Tesla get? What, like 350?
350,
Um,
370.
Yeah. So,
Um,
and you got to think that's not wide open either.
hmm
So I think it'd be like 150-mile races. So it'd be like little shootouts, which I mean, shoot, it wouldn't take that long, to watch or anything. So
It'd be kind of like
so
the
on
SRX.
average, Tesla batteries last 336 miles, but the Model S is up to 405.
Yep.
And that's probably
So
running like
it'd just
conservatively
be,
too.
yeah.
I mean, I would
So
They're
assume
not,
so.
they're not booking it like a driver, like they'd be in a NASCAR series. So
yeah. So well, we have a lot that has happened and a lot coming up very soon. I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
Picks. I want y'all to do y'all's picks. It's always like my favorite part.
Well, the Clash is here, and it's time to figure out who you're going to go with. Daniel,
before we do that, I have a question
Mine is
for you.
not a mystery. Everybody should already know who I'm
what's
rooting
the
for.
question? What's the question you got?
To clash or not to clash at the Coliseum?
I don't
next
think
year?
you're supposed to clash at the Coliseum.
Are you talking about in the future?
Mhm.
Get it out. Get it out.
Oh, this is a serious question.
Yeah.
Make it a traveling event.
Mhm.
Probably I can't imagine how much money teams have to dump into this event to make it happen every year. Because you're talking 2 weeks to the Daytona 500. You got to travel across the country from North Carolina to run one race in a quarter-mile bull
California.
ring in California.
That
That's
doesn't
gonna
matter.
probably gonna tear up your cars, and you're gonna get exposure, but you're not gonna get really paid for most likely to drive all the way back to load the haulers up with the Daytona cars headed to Daytona. I
Yeah.
I I
Agree.
love the idea. I love the gimmick that it has been, because NASCAR loves the gimmicks. NASCAR loves their gimmicks, but I think that it's time to move on to a new location. Where that is, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you. I
Like you
can't
said,
tell.
make it rolling locations. And
Yeah.
there's these things across the country
Well, there's
called
short tracks
short
across the country.
tracks.
Actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that you don't have to bring pavement and pave a football field every year
Yeah.
and
Well,
save
where
a
would you
lot
like
of
to see it?
money.
Which short
Well,
track would you like to see it at then?
I don't really have a specific one. I just think a quarter mile oval ain't it.
Yeah. Give
Quarter
me a half
mile.
mile minimum. But
Mhm.
the whole thing is everybody's like, bring it back to Daytona. Well, Daytona didn't have the crowds. Daytona
Mhm.
couldn't produce the money for it. They were losing money holding the event, so it makes sense why it left
I mean,
Daytona.
How many
hell,
years has it
maybe
been
if
at the
you run the
Coliseum?
road, maybe if you run the Daytona road course for it,
Yeah,
that'd
but I
be
mean, is that?
slightly more interesting.
But
I'd
I
rather
like.
just watch it straight up at Daytona if they're gonna have it at Daytona.
Yeah, I
But I
would.
mean,
I like the short track
switch it up.
package, like boring
Go
style.
to a short yeah, go to a short track. Do hell do it at Talladega or Daytona. I mean,
I wish they'd go to
or
Kansas.
Atlanta. Yeah, just rotate it around.
How
It
many
doesn't
years
have to
have
be
they
Yeah,
been doing
specific.
the Clash?
this is year 3.
At the Coliseum or period.
At the Coliseum is what I was.
Oh yeah,
So
this is their
3. This
the
is their
first
3rd.
year. Yeah, this will be the third time.
Okay. So it's not
So
like it hasn't been terribly long.
It's played out.
yeah, it's served its purpose, and it is time for it to be decommissioned. Unfortunately, but yeah. I mean, I'd like a rolling location. Take it to some of these short tracks around. I mean, hell, take it to some of the dirt tracks. Go hit a dirt track with it. It's the
That could be your
perfect
dirt
event for
race.
it. So
Hmm.
it's an exhibition preseason race to get people pumped up. So you want to keep it tight. You don't want it to be a snooze fest. So you got to find something that's interesting about it. I mean, go to the Rock. Find somewhere. You know, they
Yeah,
just
well, I
repaved
mean,
that.
think about it. It's if you take it to like a dirt track, it's not. It's an exhibition race. It doesn't count.
Hmm.
Take the windshields out.
Yeah,
Make that car look dirty, like a dirt car.
yeah. I mean, do something fun with it. So I think there's a lot of possibilities with it. They just gotta market it right. But I know that the contract was 3 years, so we'll see if they renew after this year. But that's waiting to be seen. So,
All right. Take y'all's picks on the Clash.
all right.
Just for the record, these don't count towards our record.
Yeah, this is an
I mean,
exhibition
that's
race, so it
fine.
counts as an exhibition race.
Okay. All
So,
right.
Yeah,
Go
this is
ahead.
just to shake off the cobwebs of the
yeah.
off season.
All right.
Well, I will kick it off. Let's go with, um, I'm just gonna go with it because it's sitting right here and everything. Last year's champion, Ryan Blaney. Why not? So shake off the cobwebs, get those gears turning and unstuck. So, what do you have, Daniel?
Just go with if you're gonna pick randomly at something that doesn't count, why not pick arguably the best race car driver in the world? I'll go with Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson. So again, very good pick, and not really. I wouldn't call it random. That's a really good pick, actually. So, well, to round out our picks, what you got, Emily?
Oh, y'all already know who I'm picking.
No, I don't.
Oh, I only like Kyle Busch. I have not watched and analyzed NASCAR enough. So I
Our
picked Busch.
podcast just got canceled.
I was about to say, I'm so sorry.
Right.
Good thing this is at the end of the episode.
Yeah, cut that.
So cut the audio. But well, we got Blaney,
Edit it out.
Larson, and Bush picked for the Clash picks. Guys, don't forget we will be live streaming starting the 6th of February at 10:30 Eastern Time. So catch us on YouTube. We'll have it posted. Keep an eye on our social medias. Keep up with us throughout the week, and we hope that you guys have a good one.